This interview is brought to you in association with Rabobank.
Hi there and welcome to Rural Delivery Online, where we speak with those who are working in and for New Zealand's primary industries. Beef and Lamb New Zealand has announced the results of the 2015 sheep meat and beef levy referendum, and CEO Dr Scott Champion joins me now. Scott, welcome.
Roger, g'day. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and you must be pretty happy. There's some great results.
Yeah, look, we're really happy, and I think from an organisational point of view, pleased that the efforts, I guess, that have gone in over the last 5 or 6 years have been recognised by farmers, and they've given that resounding endorsement. It's a great platform for the next 6-year cycle.
Yeah, and look, it certainly is an endorsement. For those who haven't seen the numbers, you've got about 84% in favour of the sheep meat levy and the same for beef. And overall, a pretty good turnout as well, just shy of 40% voting. Good representation from sheep, about 58% there. National beef cattle are 47%. Dairy down, we'll get to that in a minute, only 15% there. Those numbers pretty similar in terms of overall turnout, but boy, what a different story to what they said last time around.
Yeah, absolutely. On a proportional basis, I think we were about a fraction of a percentage point back in terms of participation from last time. And Roger, honestly, obviously, you'd always like to see greater participation. But I think we had good awareness that the referendum was on, and also I think a good understanding as to what the referendum is about. So why is it held, and what's the significance in terms of the very existence of the industry body. But as you say, a really significant turnaround in terms of the levels of support, and that's really gratifying and a testament to the work that farmers have done engaging with us and being involved in many of the programs that we've delivered over the last 6 years.
Well, that sort of number, 38% or so involvement, might seem low to those who are not familiar with these things, but in an overall levy environment, that's actually pretty good, as I understand it.
Absolutely, and very similar to what we've seen over the last 2 referenda, so the one that was held in 2009 and the one that was held in 2003, which actually created the current structure.
And I guess sometimes you have to wonder, if people don't turn out to vote, they can have very interesting things on their mind about that, and it might just simply be, well, look, I'm generally happy and I don't sense a need for a whole lot of engagement. It's a shame, but that is the way it is.
Yeah, we had a number of farmers say that to us at meetings, actually. We held, 54 meetings and had about 1,100 or so farmers attending those. And we did get a lot of commentary. Look, I had a bit of a talk to my relatives or my neighbours or whatever, and they're generally happy and didn't feel the need to come and sit in a meeting. And sometimes that was already on the basis that they'd voted and been supportive. So, we got a sense that the mood was quite positive, but until the numbers come in, you're never entirely sure.
Now, what sort of message did you get when you were out on the road? You attended a lot of those meetings. What was the general sentiments that you picked up?
Yeah, I think in terms of what people are wanting to see over the next 6-year cycle, we went out with a message and an offer, if you like, of continuing to work in the same areas that we work in today. So, farm extension, R&D, economic analysis and forecasting, developing skills and leadership, market access, market development. But a message around, we've changed the way we deliver those a lot to be more effective over the last 6 years. We will continue to do that. So, while the key areas we operate in are the same, that evolution that you should expect of us as a farmer in terms of effectiveness will continue to go on. And then there were 3 key areas that we were saying we thought farmers wanted us to do more of, and they were health and safety. So that was, one area. Environment, number 2. And also the third one was around a really strong and solid voice for sheep and beef farmers, and working alongside other organisations in that process, and federated farmers would be a key one there. And in health and safety and environment, I guess 2 things. One is the advocacy component, so, having sensible rules, et cetera, but also a real desire to create tools and I guess management techniques and skills on farm to manage those issues. So they were the 2 components of that.
Now, the environment, an interesting one, because you're a national level organisation, but you try to act locally. So how do you balance that with a bigger picture, a question like the environment?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question, and it is a challenge for us. So we have limited resources in terms of what we can do in regions. So Part of the answer to that is the way that we network with other organisations that have great regional presence, and Federated Farmers is a key one there. They have very good regional policy experts that are based on the ground in region, so they're really familiar with what's going on in those areas. So the way we interact with an organisation like FEDS is really key. On the policy side, we operate, I think, strongly at a national level alongside, other organisation counterparts like Hort, NZ Dairy, NZ Feds, etc. And then what we're really trying to do through our farmer council network, which has been another thing that we've created over the last 6 years, is within those farmer councils, really use those to link in for what's going on in a region. So these are volunteer farmers. And farmers who are pretty passionate about that environment area really look to build their capability and their own grassroots network within a particular region. So it is a very grassroots push for us, but also we think the solutions that you've got to come up with in a region, have to be right for the community. They have to be enduring, because you want certainty around this stuff so that people know, 10, 15, 20 years out, where are their farm businesses going to be able to go and what are they going to be able to do or not do. But just making sure that you wrap a really good, solid technical advice around that as well. And that is where the networks of organisations come in.
How does that process of goal setting work in a practical sense? One of the things you've done over the last 6 years is really reach out to farmers and say, well, we're actually just an extension of you. Give us your voice and we will act accordingly. What does that look like in practice these days?
Yeah, a couple of things, I guess. I mean, a really big push for us has been the creation of these things called farmer councils that I mentioned a moment ago. So we operate in 7 regions. They align with our farmer elected director region. So we have 6 farmer elected directors who sit on our board, and their connection into their own communities is really strong. Now, 6 elected directors, but 7 farmer councils. One of our director areas has 2 farmer councils, so that's why we have a slightly different number there. But creating that that grassroots network of farmer volunteers who help us deliver into the field. We run 360-ish events a year now, about 17,500 attendees of those. That's quite a big program, and making sure that every region has a program that's right for them is really key to getting farmers to engage in that stuff. So having local volunteer farmers ensure that regional flavour's there has been, one of those things that I think has contributed to that engagement and building success. And if I often say, if I was hit by a bus tomorrow, I think the best thing we've done over the last 6 years is to create those farmer councils. Just a fabulous bunch of volunteers. The other sort of slightly more dull one is internal, in the sense of we've set up measurement systems. So we talk internally about metrics, just how do you assess your performance and how do you set goals and what are the targets. And so we've done a lot of work, and it's really hard in a not-for-profit when you don't have revenue and, units of sales and those sorts of things. That a for-profit organisation has. You've got to come up with what we call our proxies for profit. And so we look across all different sorts of things, whether we're talking about event attendance. Every month we're doing monthly randomised phone surveys of farmers, looking at awareness of us, confidence in the sector. How are they feeling about the red meat sector? Are they satisfied with us and the programs we deliver? So we've generated time series around those now, so that we know how we're going, and we can assess whether either on the whole across the country or region by region are those measures of satisfaction and engagement with us, are they heading in the right direction or are they not? And if they're not, we can act on that and look at changing the programs we deliver. So there's been that engagement at the front end, but also I think, as I say, while it's a bit dull, there's been some really solid work around what are the things that are important for us to measure and check that we're heading down the right path.
One of the key areas where you work is this direct engagement with agricultural R&D. What do you think that's going to look like going forward for your organisation in terms of how it reaches out and connects with the CRI system and the universities?
Yeah, I mean, we're still, we're not a massive R&D investor. We invest about $5 to $6 million in agricultural R&D, but often that unlocks or supports co-investment from government, other partners like Dairy NZ, for example, into programs that are of interest across the pastoral sector. One of the things we're doing now is looking at are we investing in the right areas? So the specific projects, and as a project finishes, are the themes that we've got in our program, are they still right in terms of the things that are important for sheep and beef farmers? But also we're thinking about how do we work with others to get better coordination across that investment as well. So whether that's with CRIs and some of the work that they do through, their core funding, or whether that's with, other government funding sources that might come from the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, or whatever it might be. So we're trying to take, and this is an active piece of work we've got going now, trying to take a much more holistic view on the coordination component as well as just our, direct investment component as well. So what we do want to do is make sure that, we've got less fragmentation and more coordination across all those that are working in the area. And that'll be a really important focus for us over the next 6 years.
Now, Scott, we've spent a lot of time here talking about the future, and before we go, we'd better point out that you've announced plans to step down from beef and lamb early next year. When you look back on the time you've had there, a decade or so, any particular achievements that stand out for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the thing, I'd go back to the point I made earlier, Roger, just around the creation of farmer councils. I should acknowledge that they evolved out of a previous structure, sheep councils and beef councils, and then sheep and beef council, but it had a slightly different purpose and wasn't bound as closely to the industry body as farmer councils are now. But, I think the creation of those has, as I said, just been a really standout thing for me. And look, I get an enormous kick out of, once a year we get all our farmer councils together, and all of those volunteers come together in Wellington for a couple of days, and we put together a program of where we're working through our own program detail, but we bring in guest speakers and researchers and things that we think will be valuable. But the networking and the sharing of ideas of those is just fabulous. And for me, that has just been a standout change to the way this organisation engages with farmers. You made the comment that, we've had a view that we should just be a reflection of our farmers. I absolutely agree with that. We should be absolutely aligned with what our sector's all about, and with both its, the things that are going strongly in the sector at any point in time, but also the issues that it has before it. And I think farmer councils allowed us to do that much better. But also we just had inside the organisation we've had a great team and real unity of purpose between the board and between management. And so I think, just getting that alignment, you're all pushing in the same direction, has been a fabulous thing. I've loved it.
All right, Scott, look, you've achieved a huge amount. You've been very supportive of rural delivery. We thank you for that, and we wish you the very best of luck for the future.
Thanks, Roger. Good to talk to you.
This interview was brought to you in association with Rabobank.